You're listening to Biz-Souls, the business podcast with an edge, hosted by me, Rona Lewis, and Jeffrey Hansler. Tune in for perspectives and discoveries about the changing world of business. It's time to connect to the heart, soul, and humor of how business gets done. Hi, kids. We are back for another fun-filled episode of Biz-Souls. I'm Rona Lewis.
And I'm Jeffrey Hansler, and we get to the heart and soul of business and the people that make it happen. And today, I'm very excited personally.
I know you are. You're really excited about this.
It's like a boy in toys.
I know. Today we have Tim Martin with us, and what's very funny is Tim. I have a very good friend named Tim Martin. I'm like, really? My friends Deb and Tim are coming on.
I actually run into a few of those around the world. So yeah,
I bet you do. All right, so I'm going to read your official bio. Timothy Martin, just call him Tim, he's okay with that, is a retired police captain with over 29 years of experience in law enforcement. Prior to law enforcement, he worked in the photography industry doing both still and videography. He holds a bachelor's degree from California State University, Long Beach. Tim is an experienced unmanned aerial system remote pilot, i.e. drones, and holds a Part 107 license. Hopefully you will explain that afterwards. He has extensive experience in flying several different UAS platforms, both as a hobby and while participating and supervising public safety missions. His experience includes indoor flight, night flying, and aerial photography. Now, he is the Director of UAS Training at the Regional Training Center, which is a nonprofit that trains a bunch of tough guys, and you're going to tell us more about that. I was like, he started going on and on about all the really cool guys. I'm like, they're all really tough, so you can elucidate on that.
So, Tim, I always get the first question, and the first question was, so went law enforcement, and now you're in and playing around with drones and teaching people around drones. What'd you want to be when you grew up?
Neither, actually. I actually wanted to be, a firefighter, and that was pretty much because my brother was. So he's 10 years older than me. I always grew up. He was my hero, so I wanted to be a firefighter. So at a young age, I got involved in police explorers at 14 here in Huntington Beach. So that was kind of my introduction to public service. So I knew I wanted to go down that road. And it just so happens that to go on a fire ride along was pretty complex. You had to do a bunch of stuff, but to go on a police ride along was pretty easy. So I went on my first police ride along, and 10 minutes into it, it was a pursuit of a moped and a crash. And, it's slow motion. I still see the officer, Starsky and Hutch over the hood of the police car, taking his watch off so he doesn't scratch it as he slides across the hood. And, to me, it was the best thing ever. And that was it. I was hooked. So, I started down the road of firefighting, but ended up really at an impressionable age looking at law enforcement. So that was kind of the start of it. I got lucky. I got lucky that I was kind of subjected to that at a young age, and kind of kept myself clean from there to
That's
knowing
great.
what my goal was.
That's, just out of curiosity, does that program still exist?
It does. It exists in a different format. At the time I went through it, it was called Search and Rescue, and it was a joint police and fire venture. Started back in the 80s. Amazing program. A big number of public safety officers and firefighters throughout California, for that matter, but Huntington Beach too started that program. Now, a couple years ago, they broke it off, and there's an individual fire program and police program that are run by the city of Huntington Beach separately.
And
still really good programs.
Very, very good. One of the things that the way we got acquainted was we were both on LinkedIn. You accepted my request. I sent a request to you. I was really impressed. I'm a resident of Huntington Beach. So you were doing posts on LinkedIn on what your operation was doing with drones, what the technology that was being done, when the companies that were coming in, things like that. And there was so much transparency with that, and I just really like that. Did you just decide to do that on your own? I don't see a lot of other departments in the police department or even government in Huntington Beach doing any kind of social media that way, using it. It was very productive.
Yeah. So as I promoted throughout my career, I ended up becoming a lieutenant and getting assigned to our administrative division, and that oversaw our PIO and social media. At the time, we had a chief and a captain who were very much involved in community engagement, but it was only on Facebook at the time. So when I started and took over the position, I wanted to start an Instagram page, because for me, Instagram was much more personal, much more of a story of the department. So that was kind of my thing. Was I started the Huntington Beach Police Department Instagram page.
Okay.
And with my photography background, understanding how a visual story is much more powerful than a narrative. That's kind of how I got into becoming more involved in the public through social media, and that led to me starting the LinkedIn page. And LinkedIn's a whole different audience. There's not a whole lot of the public on LinkedIn. It's more of a professional network. But I did both, so I kind of paralleled both. Where the Instagram, I really I didn't like Facebook, nothing against it, but it wasn't, to me, Facebook was more of a political landing page where you have both sides, but where Instagram was more of the ability to get our message out there.
So how did you get from going into police work to just, using drones? I know you were into photography. Had you started using them to get aerial photography beforehand?
No, drones had that right around 2014, 2015 is where drones entered law enforcement. And it was really the reason they entered law enforcement was just technology. We had been using ground robots, for tactical situations for a very long time. So it wasn't, the concept itself wasn't new, but the ability to have the technology come on the market of where you have smaller compact quadcopters that could really get you in the door, literally. And for me, I was a patrol sergeant, and we had an incident where tragically, it was a husband and wife that were fighting, and she was going to leave him. He pulls out a gun, suicidal. She runs out the door and hears a gunshot. And as a patrol sergeant, we have a very, very limited options in that particular case. We could walk away and tell the wife, good luck, you're on your own, give it some time, go back in the house, see what happens. To me personally, that wasn't an option. We don't leave people hanging like that. The other option is to send my patrol officers in the door to try to find the guy. And to me, that is one of two things is going to happen. We're either going to get one of my officers hurt, or we're going to end up killing the guy to save him, is a lot of times what was happening back then. And the third option is to call the SWAT team out, and they can come out and send one of the robots in, or tactically move in with shields and do it in a way that minimizes the injuries to everybody. And that is ultimately the option that you decide. But
that gets expensive too.
It gets very expensive. It's 4 to 6 hours. A lot of people get called out. It's very expensive, and the ultimate outcome is unfortunately you find the guy 10 feet in the door.
Right.
So for me, there's got to be a better way. Drones, we can, on a patrol level, we could fly a drone in that house, and we could solve the problem and make a better decision than those other three options.
So you could be like Jeffrey and fly a drone and lose it, or put it
yes,
in
that's
a tree.
My first drone is somewhere in some tree or somewhere. Were you a hobbyist? That leads right to the next question. Were you a hobbyist before?
I really wasn't.
Okay.
Drones to me were, when they came on the market and available, they were so easy to fly that anybody could use it. So no, for me, it wasn't necessarily something I was involved in.
Right.
beforehand.
I'm laughing because you said anybody can fly it. Yeah, I can fly it right off the map.
Anybody can fly and anybody can crash.
Flying
Believe
it,
me.
yeah, I say flying it well is another story.
We all have those drones that we've crashed over the years for sure.
No kidding.
But they're
No.
fun.
Well,
My first drone crash, to make you feel better, was into the side of the Tustin blimp hangar that just burned down. Now,
did it
granted,
burn
I have a
down
bunch-
because you hit it with a drone?
No. Many years before that happened, I actually was flying around the hangar taking pictures and videos, which I have. They're
Right.
great. They're great, historical things now. But yeah, I flew into I didn't fly. They have a function that if you lose connection to them,
Right.
radio connection, they automatically fly home.
Right.
Oh,
But
that's cool.
and then they land where you took off from, and my drone did exactly what I told it to do. It ascended up to 150 feet and flew home. But the problem is those hangars are 300 feet high,
Right.
so it just flew right into the side of the hangar and
Right.
crashed.
It didn't have. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing drones don't have like sensors that see what's
Some
around them.
some
Some
do.
do?
Correct. Some do.
Yeah,
some
some
of
do.
the more, but it's a price thing. So
Yeah, back when that happened, they didn't have those
it.
sensors
Right.
that were as advanced as they are now.
Right.
Now they have very advanced.
Oh, the technology is unbelievable.
Absolutely.
It's just gone through the roof. So
Because it was given to us by aliens. I'm kidding. I'm just spreading conspiracy theories.
You could spread that one on a number of topics, I'm sure.
Oh my God, she's at it again. I'm just playing. I'm playing.
I still wish we were in the police force. You could arrest Rona or something. The kinds of are there particular drones that law enforcement looks for specific qualities, or do they use different drones for different procedures? So some of the things I've seen online is they're flying in a smoky building, which are the firefighters doing that, or is the police doing it in support of the firefighters? Do they work together?
Yeah, it works. I think they work together at this point. There are some firefighters that have full-time robotics teams that all they do is drones. Most fire departments, though, you have, take Huntington Beach for example, you have a 4 firefighter engine, and that has your engineer, your captain, they're up front, and then you have the 2 firefighters in the back. And when they roll up on a scene, a fire, something, they don't have spare hands to fly a drone. So a lot of times they don't fly for themselves. The police department will fly for them. And then you get into rural America where maybe the fire department has a drone program because everybody loves firefighters. Nobody suspects or has a problem with a firefighter flying a drone, but you put it in the hands of a police officer, and then all of a sudden there's all kinds of red flags that go up. So you have a lot of rural America where fire departments are far more advanced in drone flying than the police departments are, and they'll fly for the police department. So right now it's still the wild, wild west. It's the new frontier in the drone world. So we're still exploring a lot of different things. But to answer your original question, there is no catch-all. One drone does it all. You do have different drones for different missions, and it all depends on what you want to do. They're essentially flying cameras. They give you a perspective that is unique and helpful because it gives you that orchestra seating, if you will, or I'm sorry, the balcony seating.
Yeah. Well, and I would imagine it would be cheaper and better especially if you're chasing someone who is trying to hide between homes. A helicopter can't get in like a drone.
Yeah, we have a helicopter program. We've had it for 70 years, and we coexist with each other. And yeah, you're right. If it's foggy, if it's raining, if there's certain conditions that the helicopter cannot fly in, then the drone is beneficial. And then we do some trickery with the helicopter and the drone where we use them both, and they see the helicopter, they're focused on the helicopter, but they don't know the drone's up there. So when the helicopter goes on a backside of its orbit or shines its light over here, that's when the suspect usually moves. So
Very sneaky.
we have the drone waiting with thermal to where We
Wow.
can kind of play a little cat and mouse with them. So yeah, they're very beneficial to coexist with each other. And there's certain things that drones will never be able to do that the helicopter does, such as pursuit, longevity, long flight, that type of thing.
Right. Right. Yeah. It seems a very, very smart way to coexist.
Yep, absolutely.
And again, I'm not sure which questions you want known to the public or things like that. So is there right now, for the number of police officers and patrols out there, if there are 10 patrols, how many of them will have somebody that was trained in flying a drone? Is it one or two in a police force at this moment?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to have one out 24 hours a day, obviously. Okay. It just depends. There are a lot of agencies out there that do what's called drone as first responders. Okay. And that's where they're launching a drone from a rooftop, responding to calls like a helicopter would. Right. So in that particular case, you have a drone out there all the time that's more reactive than proactive. Okay. So they can launch and be up and at anywhere in the city in 3 minutes. To where you don't need an officer with a drone in the trunk of the car. But for the agencies that aren't operating like that, for Huntington Beach, for example, right. There's 20 plus officers that are trained in drone use out of 220 officers.
Wow.
90 something patrol officers. So it's 20% of the patrol fleet has drones.
Wow, that's amazing. That seems high, and which is great.
Yeah. Yep, it is.
And was that long? Sorry, Rona, you.
I just want. How long do these drones last? I mean, how long can you fly them before the battery goes?
Realistically, if you're flying the average drone, you're talking 30 to 45 minutes per battery per flight. So you'd have to land it, change out the battery, or if you're doing a big event or standoff situation, you have multiple drones that are up to where you never lose that eye in the sky, but you have to rotate drones through batteries. Yeah.
Now the group you're with now, it's located in Fountain Valley, which is really close. Is that a unique site? Is it a nonprofit organization that supports law enforcement?
Yeah, it was started by a retired LAPD officer. And he started it, nothing to do with drones. He started it back in 2014, I believe, just to create affordable training for law enforcement and support law enforcement in some unique training. At that time, it was more internet crimes against children type of classes or computer forensics. And then it just kind of, the drone stuff exploded. In 2016, they started their first drone training, and they started with 2 drone classes, and now we're up to 18 that we teach, 18 different specialty classes all across the country. We're all over the place. So we're not just California, we're Florida, Texas, and we train just about everywhere.
So what are the couple of the specialties? You've got interior flying or close quarter flying?
Yeah, we have a tactical interior flying, and then we have interior flying with specific drones that we do training on. So you can if you just want training on that particular drone, we have classes for that. We have night operations. We have 3D mapping. We have something called ATAC, which is it's a live program that's being used in the military primarily. We have crowd management, manager's course, advanced operations, night operations, kind of a little bit of everything. If DFR, basic pilot training, that kind of stuff.
DFR.
What is
drones as first responder. That's the rooftop launching stuff.
Okay, very, very good.
Yeah.
Can I go again? I'm sorry. I'm just.
Please do.
I got questions. I got a million questions. So
I know.
when you were developing did you develop the drone program for Huntington Beach, or were you part of the development? And how did that go? And what kind of reception did you get? Had it already been accepted because they had successes other places? And I don't know if you want to, in a positive way, what were some of the politics that helped it happen?
Yeah, we were pretty early adopters. I co-founded the program with he's a lieutenant now. Chris Nesmith is his name, and he was the Aero Bureau sergeant. So he was the sergeant that supervised the helicopters, and so we kind of went in it together, and we didn't know that both of us were doing the same research. And then he went to the chief, I went to the chief with a proposal, and the chief said, "You two guys get together and make this happen." It took us 3 years. So going to conferences, learning about drones, navigating the public issues, navigating the city council. No one was super comfortable with it. The chief was cautious about it because it was a new thing. So we kind of took we took kind of a creative angle to it, and knowing and researching failures throughout the country in law enforcement drone programs, we decided to go with what we called a public safety program. It was police, fire, and marine safety all kind of roped into one program where we said, this is what we're going to use the drones for. And it was more of the feel good, we're not doing it for surveillance. We're not going to weaponize it. We're not going to follow people. We're going to start off with 3D mapping, crimes and accident scenes to get those intersections open quicker. We're going to do fire deployments. We're going to do missing kids, tactical SWAT deployments, Overwatch. That was all part of the original plan. But kind of what really got our drone program off the ground, I have the great white sharks to thank, because at the time, right around 2017, we had this huge influx of great white sharks that were along the coastline of Huntington, Seal Beach. And the way it works, I guess, is that when the parents give birth to the great whites in a certain region, they all come back to that area as teenagers, if you will. The sharks do. And we just had sharks all over the place. So there's a big scare of sharks. So what we did was we basically said, hey, look, the procedure was if a shark was sighted off the coast, they would shut the beach down for a mile in each direction for an hour. And that was bad for beach business, obviously. So we said, hey, we'll send the drone out there. We'll go confirm the shark's gone, give you the all clear, or say, okay, those are dolphins, not sharks. So the idea of it was very attractive for tourism reasons. So yeah, the great white sharks pretty much got our program going. And then we labeled it as a 1-year pilot program.
Right.
Kind of played the political game, like, okay, we're going to try this for a year, see how it goes. And just like you could expect, we had in big events like the U.S. Open of surfing or other things, we had these huge screens with these drone videos up there, and every city council member was glued to the screen, and it's like, okay, sold. It
Very
didn't take
smart.
long.
Wow.
Yeah, it didn't take long.
Well done, well done. And I remember, well, I surf all the time, so the sharks are there, and then the juveniles are still around a lot.
Yeah.
So it's a great program. Yeah,
Yeah.
They're
It was great.
They're just teenagers, though. Teenagers get
They're only good whites. They're not great whites.
Yeah, they're not great. Yeah, they're trying. They're trying.
That's right.
They're working on it. Outstanding.
So what do you like? What's your favorite thing about doing what you do?
I never really expected to be an instructor. That wasn't kind of my retirement dream. I love doing it. I love teaching, but what I like most about it is I go hands-on with so many different drones and different products, and I get to test and develop new things for the industry.
That's fun.
We came up with a delivery system for the drones that delivers tourniquets and other medical supplies and ammunition and things like that, where we developed this platform for the top of drones where we can actually develop medical or deliver these medical supplies, going back to the North Hollywood shooting where you had multiple police officers and civilians that were injured, bleeding out, and had to do self-care for a long time before they got medical attention. So the idea is that instead of flying over somebody and dropping something, which is number one, dangerous and hard to do precision wise, we developed this platform to where we could just fly in and land the drone at their feet, and they could retrieve the gear that way. So just the testing, the development, working in the industry, the people, you know, I worked 29 years in law enforcement, so that's what I knew. Those
Right.
are the people I knew. This working in the private sector now and in the drone industry is a whole different world that I love. You know, it's different, you know, things like this, you know, being able to jump on podcasts and do stuff like this is really interesting to me.
It's fun. Come on, it's fun.
It is fun. Yeah, it
That's
is.
what you
Absolutely.
want. You want to
Yeah.
have fun at your job, and I, you know, and my thought is, how much fun is it? You're playing with adult toys and being creative for the greater good.
Yeah,
So, you
absolutely.
know, I mean, I teach play, purposeful, and it's serious play for corporations, and you do, you know, in a different way, you get to play with what you do to make things better. So, yay,
Yeah.
you.
And I've always, you know, I've always wanted to teach at a community college. That was always one of my career goals, and I never really just never landed on that. And now I teach two classes at a local community college here in Orange County, two
Yay.
drone classes. And the what I love about that is the students that come into that class. They're every age from high school all the way up to my oldest student has been in their 70s, and to see their faces and watch them fly drones for the first time is amazing. It's a really good time.
That's fantastic.
When we get off, I bet Jeffrey's going to want to know where you teach.
Oh,
Okay.
He's going to want to take the
I can
class.
guess. It's either Golden West or OCC.
No, it's actually not. No.
Oh, is it
Yeah. It's
coastline community?
no.
No,
Let him answer.
come on.
No, it's Santa
Sounds
Ana
like
College. Yeah.
Santa Ana.
Yeah, Santa Ana, and I knew nothing about Santa Ana College, and
Really?
you know, Santa Ana College is the reason I got involved in Santa Ana College is that they are the parent college or administrating college of the Orange County Sheriff's Academy and the Fire Academy.
Wow.
So they're the accrediting body, but I had no idea. Santa Ana College is one of the few colleges that has bachelor programs, affordable bachelor programs in nursing and business, some other programs. I'm not exactly sure, but really an amazing organization. I really enjoy it.
Shout out to Santa Ana College.
Yes,
excellent.
absolutely.
Excellent. So, in terms of is the popularity of drones growing within law enforcement? Like, so you said Sheriff's Department is part of Santa Ana College. Our Sheriff's Department, the other Newport, all the Costa Mesa, all the places nearby, are they increasing their drone programs?
Yeah, I think pretty much. Last time we took a survey, I think there's just a couple smaller agencies that didn't have drone programs, but for the most part, everyone has a drone program now. It's growing in popularity 10 times. I mean, it's you know you have agencies that have never had a helicopter. They never used aerial services,
Right.
and you know I just got back from training an agency back east, very large police department. We're talking thousands and thousands of employees. They never in their entire existence had air support, never had helicopters, and you know we were involved in their bringing drones into their and it's a whole new experience for them. So yeah, it's opening the doors to new dimensions to policing, you know, for a lot of agencies.
Nice. Big Brother's watching.
Yeah, exactly.
It is. There's no doubt. There's no doubt that that's the there is that kind of
Well, and
thought
you're not
of it.
just, you know, flying into houses, just saying what's going
Yeah.
on here. You're doing it for a purpose.
But I also think there's a huge de-escalation element to it. And we learned this in Huntington Beach, as you know, Jeff. We had our fair share of protests and
Right.
gatherings in Huntington Beach, and we learned a lot from them. And in fact, I developed an entire class on what I learned from our protests. And one of the things I learned is that without the support of aerial observation, you would get a large gathering of people in a particular area, and our response would be to send multiple police officers, lights and sirens into that area, and now you're introducing weapons and guns and sticks and pepper spray into a very large crowd. And what we learned with the drones is if we just fly over and observe that crowd first, what we learn is that you have a one or two people that are on their soapbox preaching to each other or arguing with each other, and you have a small inner crowd that are those two people's support group, like they're
Right.
the backup, the muscle. And then you have a very large crowd that just wants to watch the fight.
Right.
And that's all they're there for. Is they're not there to support either group. They just want to see they just have their phones out and they want to see the fight.
Looky loos.
Yeah, exactly. So what we found is that if you fly the drone over and watch that crowd, the guys that are chest to chest and yelling at each other eventually hug each other and everybody just walks away.
Huh.
So we've learned that as a de-escalation tool, your incident commander, the person that needs to make the decisions, can have the officers close by and respond if they need to, but the drones really give them that incident, that immediate observation of let's hold off. We don't need to interject the officers into this yet. And then eventually those small crowds, they disperse and go away. Now, do you have fights? Absolutely. You're always going to have fights. What's nice is the drone could come up and say, we've got a large fight of 200 people. Well, the initial response of 5 officers is not adequate. You're just going to make a mess of it. So the drone gets in and watches that and says, no, we need 20 officers or 100 officers, something like that. So it's beneficial.
That must have been some bar fight with all those people.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and I know what you're talking about because I live in the downtown area, and the U.S. Open, what did they call it before the U.S. Open? Anyway, we've had a couple of riots related on that, or people got out of hand and then the police had to come down. And it's just stressful for the police officers.
Even 4th of July.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
and Huntington Beach is the epicenter, and it took us a little while to figure out why, but we figured it out. We figured out why we were the capital of protest from all sides, and why we have these big events. And it comes down to one factor. Well, the beach is nice, right?
Right.
Everyone wants to come down to the beach, but we have parking. We have thousands and thousands and thousands of parking spaces in a very small area, and the city's glad to collect all the money for it.
Right.
So they keep the parking lots open, and we attract a lot of people, because who wants to walk a mile to get to your protest? Nobody does.
Sounds so bizarre. I want my protest to be easy and
absolutely
be able to have dinner right after. So let's just walk over there.
It's like the people that drive up. They'll drive around till they find the closest parking spot to the gym. It's
absolutely right. Yep. Exactly.
So serious question. Because of the Ukraine war, we found out they can easily weaponize drones, and are in general. Is law enforcement looking at that as well? Or is it still focused on public safety and things like that?
No, are we, so to clarify your question, are we looking to weaponize drones, or are we concerned about?
Are you looking to weaponize?
No.
It's this focus for law enforcement is public safety, in all ways, delivery of care packages, things like that.
Yeah, and there's drones. The drones are being weaponized on the U.S. border in Mexico, so it should scare the crap out of all of us, because you can take any DJI drone or Autel drone, the most popular drones out there, and for $40 on Amazon, you can get a drop system to put onto that drone. And you can launch that drone and drop that payload from a mile away.
Wow.
So yeah, it should scare everybody. And that's a huge threat, a huge problem that we have to deal with. And right now the legislation doesn't allow us to deal with it very well, because we can't interdict.
Wow.
Of course.
It's a whole other show. Whole other show,
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, this has been great. Tips. Okay, Rona, take it away.
So tell us about what people can do if they want to get involved in something that you do, whether it's for the police, fire department, or they just want to learn more about drones and safety and how to work them. not
Yeah,
usually on top of trees. So,
police work is one of the greatest professions that I know. I mean, I can't think of another job that with the combination of pay and benefits and the return on your investment of time, it's amazing. But you got to want to do it. You can't get into law enforcement as a pay and benefit. Hey, that'd be a nice secure job for me, because mentally, physically, you got to want to do it. But if you want to do it, there's nothing stopping you. I was born and raised in Huntington Beach and was fortunate, after working 4 years at the Orange County Sheriff's Department, transferring to Huntington Beach and doing the rest of my career there. But, I had my struggles. I don't think still to this day, many people know it at work, but, I went from a police officer to police captain through my career with severe dyslexia. And going through the academy was a challenge, but what saved my career was that we dictated every report. And for me, my brain works to where I can dictate easily. I can lay everything out on a table, and I can dictate an entire report. And I very seldom had to write a report. So, it doesn't really matter what your hurdles are in life. Just do it. Try it. There's all kinds of programs out there, citizens academies that you can join Huntington Beach, and explore posts for younger folks that want to get involved and want to see what it's really all about. I highly encourage you to get involved in all that, because it really is truly a noble profession. And
yeah, it is.
we're hurting. We need good quality police officers that want to be there and want to do the job for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have quite a few friends on Long Island that I grew up with who decided to go in, and they loved it. They all loved it.
Yeah. So, like any job,
Awesome.
like any profession, you don't need a degree. You need a high school diploma, and it's one of the few professions that you can get into with just a high school diploma
Wow.
and no degree. And if you want to promote later in life, go get your degree later. I didn't get my bachelor's degree till I was 38 years old. And that's when I decided I wanted to promote. So
Right.
it's kind of cool. You could make that much money and start a family young age through a high school diploma.
That's fabulous.
Very impressive.
That's fantastic.
Impressive.
Yeah.
So, and anything about drones? If people want to get into drones, they can take your class.
Yeah, I mean, the first step for any commercial drone operations is to get your Part 107 license, and what that is that's the FAA certification for you to operate a drone as a commercial operation. So you can fly a drone. Anybody can fly a drone recreationally,
Right.
you got to get a trust certificate, which is really easy to get. But the FAA 107 test is a little bit more challenging, but it's not impossible. Once you have your FAA license, then you can fly a drone for profit. They say that in 5 years it's going to be a $400 billion industry.
Wow.
And for every drone pilot out there is 10 people on the back end. So the amount of work in the drone industry between pilots and technicians and engineers and service and sales, you name it, it's in the drone industry. So
we should look for stocks that are in the drone industry.
Absolutely.
Futures.
Yeah.
They're pretty high priced, I think.
Yeah, they are. It's tough, it's a challenging industry for sure, in law enforcement. And I'm not sure what you guys did for work, but in law enforcement, you got your job and you stayed there for 20, 25, 30 years working with the same people, everything. In the drone industry, it's like I see these people changing roles sometimes a few times a year, and it's a challenging industry for sure.
Wow.
Outstanding.
There.
Oh, Tim, this has been fabulous. This has been great. Thank you so much for coming on.
Really interesting.
And
so if somebody wants to get in touch with you and ask questions, how can they do that?
Or the training center. Or the training center. Well, you're one and the same. If they get hold of you, they get hold of the training center.
Yeah, exactly. So the training center is, and we do pilot license training for not just law enforcement. We'll do it for anybody that wants to take our classes. So it's the is the website for the regional training center. And once you get on the website, it's self-explanatory of our classes. I'm on LinkedIn. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. Is look me up on LinkedIn. You can just type in, Timothy Martin, Huntington Beach Police Department, or Timothy Martin RTC, and I'll pop up. Is probably the easiest way. And my profile's open, so I'll take direct messages.
Right.
Outstanding.
Right. This has been really, really interesting. There's a lot I don't know. I mean, yes, there's a lot I don't know anyway, but this was really a lot I don't know. Thank you so much, Tim.
Of course.
All right.
It's been a pleasure talking to both of you, and it's great. It's a different, law enforcement. There's a lot you don't know behind the scenes for sure, and hopefully, your guests can get insight into that.
Well, and then you can feel free to share this with the Huntington Police Department, and they can put it on their website, and people will see it and then want to join because it's you. And there you go. Jeffrey, any last words?
Nope, that's it. Tim, we want you back on. We'll have you back.
Thank you.
All right. This is it for us at Biz-Souls. I'm Rona Lewis.
I'm Jeffrey Hansler.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Biz-Souls podcast with your hosts, Rona Lewis and Jeffrey Hansler. Did you have fun? Subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's very much appreciated. Talk to you next week.